Hello, thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to this webinar. Glad you're here. A little applause here, please. Oh, thank you. Thank you for the enthusiasm. We appreciate it. Well, today's subject is going to be is a very, very important subject on digestion. And as you know from my past webinars and YouTube videos and talks, I've given a lot of talks on digestion. But most of the time, I've been talking on, how home remedies and habits and foods and things along this line. So the difference between this talk is that we're going to talk about the herbs. Now, of course, when it comes to digestion, many of these herbs are spices because all spices are is tasty herbs that help with digestion. But future webinars, I'll be talking a lot more about herbs that you may or may not be familiar with. I'm going to talk about both Western herbs and Ayurvedic herbs, and I have many here I'm going to show you and discuss with you and how they can be used to improve your digestion. So we're not going to cover home remedies, eating habits, and things along this line. But this is very important for digestion, of course, your eating habits, the food you're eating, how much you're eating. But this is another subject. So first, before we start to talk about how to improve your digestion with herbs, well, first you have to diagnose what kind of digestive problem you have. Because if you can't diagnose properly your digestive state, then it's very difficult to treat it. So you have to be very clear about your digestive state. In Ayurveda, of course, it's very clear. We have basically 4 types of digestive states. So if you want to identify what state you're in, or of course, if you're a practitioner, you want to identify your patient and what state of digestion they have. In fact, whenever I meet any a patient, within the first few minutes, I'm determining the state of their digestion. So this is the 4 main types we talk about. First is called, and they're all referring to the word Agni. Agni is the digestive fire. Agni is made up of, in Ayurveda, Panchakapitta, Samanavayu, and Kladaka Kapha, if you're familiar with Ayurvedic terms. But we'll just call it Agni, digestive fire. There's different Agnis too for the liver, and there's many Agnis all over the body. So often when we say Agni, in fact, it could be any digestive fire, even in our liver, our pancreas, or every cell in our body even has a little digestive fire. But in this case, we're talking about particularly Jatra Agni. Jatra Agni is the digestive fire, made up of 3 components. As I said, Panchakapitta, which is the fire, Samana Vayu, and which is the absorption, and Kladaka Kapha, which is the mucosa and the rasa, or mucosa in the stomach lining. It's the combination of these 3 that allow us to digest. So our disorders and imbalances come from either Vata, Pitta, or Kapha. So the first type of digestive state, which is what we want, is called Sama Agni. Sama Agni. Sama Agni means, a balanced Agni. How do we know if we have Sama Agni? Because digestion, appetite, I should say, is good. Means hungry for meals, but not too hungry. Not like burning hangry, That's like too strong. And no appetite, that's not considered healthy, as we know from raising children or having farm animals. If they're not eating, they're not hungry, there's a health problem. Same with us. So Sama Agni has a good appetite, but not too strong. And then during the meal, there's no gas, there's no bloating, there's no abdominal discomfort. And then after the meal, you have energy. That's a very important point, because if you feel heavy and slow after a meal, and you're not absorbing the nutrients, and so you don't have energy, you feel lethargic, you feel slow, you can't eat foods. And of course, any food allergy, whether you can't eat a piece of bread, can't have a piece of butter, or you can't eat certain foods, well, that's not Sama Agni, because now you're having a digestive disorder, which is creating an immune reaction, an allergy, and this is another vast subject, food allergies. But to improve any food allergy, and people come to me daily who can't digest gluten, can't digest wheat, can't digest so many substances, and basically that's a sign of poor digestion. You can't, as I jokingly say, you can't eat a piece of bread without gas and bloating. Even if it's not the best bread in the world or the healthiest bread, If you have good digestion, you should be able to digest it. So in private practice, I've seen that probably less than 10% have some agni, maybe only 5 or 6%. Children often have better agni because the parents are controlling their eating times and their foods. They're not eating so much at night because they often don't have as many bad habits, and they're still young, and the fire is still good. So we find that children often have good, strong digestion. So that's samagni, balanced. Now we'll talk about the 3 types which most people will fall in. First is manda agni. Manda means dull or dead, no fire, no digestion. It means you're not hungry. Most people think this isn't a big problem, particularly if they're trying to lose weight. They think, well, it's fine, I'm not that hungry, but they're still gaining weight. Often they come to me and I say, oh, I'm going to improve your digestion, I'm going to make you more hungry. And they go, well, that can't be good, I'm already gaining weight. But in fact, when you have manda agni or dull digestion, you're not hungry. You don't eat until 2, 3 o'clock in the afternoon, sometimes even later, or you can go all day without eating. And of course, we know what happens then. You eventually get hungry and you pig out and eat even late into the evening. And even though you're quantitatively not eating much, you're eating at the wrong time, late at night, and then this contributes to weight gain. So when digestion is good, you technically can eat more and lose weight. And this manda agni is too much kapha, too much kladaka kapha, too much mucus, too much congestion. There's no enough hydrochloric acids, enough fire coming out. So if you're in that category, then we need to get the panchaka pitta going, get the fire going, get the digestion going, and reduce down the mucus, the kladaka kapha. So in simple terms, you'd want more spicy, hot, warm foods and cut down on dairy, heavy, and congestive foods, particularly things like cheese and snacking and eating at night. So the second type of digestion is Vishama Agni. Vishama Agni is more typical to Vata people, but anybody can get it. It's a delicate digestion. A lot of gas, bloating, constipation, everything's bothering them. Can't eat this, can't eat that. Sometimes hungry, sometimes not hungry. In fact, Vishama means variable, like you can't quite figure it out. So often you ask people, how's your digestion? And they go on, well, sometimes hungry, sometimes not hungry, but yesterday I was hungry, but 2 days ago I wasn't hungry, and then I was hungry. Well, okay, I heard enough. That's Vishama. This I get gas, but if I cook it, I'm okay. When you hear that type of variable, they can't put their finger on their digestive problem, but they're getting a lot of gas and bloating. It's easy to get constipated. Vishama Agni. It's a category in Ayurveda. And we've got herbs to match each of these categories. It's a system made. I'm not making it up. I'm just teaching you my knowledge of Ayurveda. And then I'm going to teach you the herbs that can use to resolve these 3 types of digestive disorders. So the third one is, and maybe you could guess at this point, Trikshna. Trikshna Agni. Trikshna means sharp. It means hungry. This is the person who wakes up hungry. They're hungry in the morning. They got strong appetite. I mean, they can eat a lot, maybe so high that they get heartburn or acidity, or they can't even make it from lunch to dinner, or they get hungry at night. I mean, basically, the fire is too high. The panchaka pitta is too much. And so the treatment's very opposite than manda agni. In this case, no spicy foods, no chili foods, no tomatoes, no peppers, and more things that will subdue the sweet taste that will subdue the appetite. More fruit between the meals, sweeter spices, cumin, fennel, I should say, and even more cheese, more dairy, milk. All these things are cooling and putting down the fire, creating more kladaka kapha, more mucosa, bringing down the appetite. So, and of course, if you have, we'll talk about apple cider vinegar. Apple cider vinegar would be perfect for manda agni, where you have too much kladaka kapha or mucus in the stomach lining, and to clear it out, to get the appetite going. But it would be poison for somebody with trikshna agni because they don't have enough mucosa. Maybe they haven't been having any dairy because they're afraid of dairy. It's a popular thing now to not eat butter. So now we're going to talk about resolving these 3 type of digestive disorders by talking about the herbs. And in this case, many of the herbs are spices. So everybody can learn easily from this because we have many spices are easy to understand. I'll introduce some Ayurvedic herbs that are not spices. But the first one we want to talk about is ginger. Ginger is great for manda agni. So we'll talk about Manda Agni first. So this is a kapha, just not much appetite, feeling heavy. And another point I want to make is we need to analyze the digestion from three points. One, before the appetite. How do you feel before the appetite? Hungry, not hungry? That's the key one. During the meal, gas, bloating, abdominal discomfort. That's the key question there. And then the third is after the meal. How do you feel after the meal? Do you have energy, enthusiasm, or acidity, or burning, or more gas and bloating? So these are the three areas that we want to look at. And so if you don't have good, strong digestion, and you don't have much appetite, you're not even hungry, then we want to get the fire going, stimulate the fire. It's like getting the oven temperature just right before you cook food. And one of the best things for that is ginger. So, you know, you could have ginger if you have Manda Agni. Maybe don't do this if you have Trikshna Agni or it's too strong. But in Manda Agni, it's the beginning part of the digestion we got to stimulate. So ginger, you could even just chew on ginger. Yeah. Chew on a little ginger, and that will get the Agni going, get the fire going. In Ayurveda, you can take a slice of ginger, put a little salt on it, and chew it, particularly for Vishama Agni. And if you're kapha and you have Manda Agni and no appetite, you can take a slice of ginger and put some black pepper on it. So ginger is probably the premier herb for improving digestion before, particularly lack of appetite. Even you make a ginger tea, you can just sip it during the meals. And this will help digestion. If you're kapha and you have Manda Agni, you can add some black pepper to it. That will make it even more pungent, because the taste we want here is pungent. Pungent is increasing this fire. And then you could add little cumin, coriander, but the two key ones that we want to add is the ginger and the black pepper. So I have this, what we call kapha digestive tea, and basically it's for Manda Agni, no appetite, dull. It's very simple. So anybody coming to me, no appetite, not much digestion, not much digestive strength, not that hungry, feeling heavy after the meals, it says stimulates digestion before meals, overcomes heaviness after meals. That's perfect. That's resolving Manda Agni. And the ingredients are ginger, cumin, cinnamon, fenugreek, cloves, and black pepper. So clove, another pungent spice. So by drinking this tea, even in the morning, even just ginger, lemon, honey tea, this will also do the trick. Or drinking this kapha tea, which is quite hot. You drink this in the morning, you're not going to make it till 11 or 12 o'clock before you get hungry. Because we want to get that, for Manda Agni, we need to get the fire going, get the digestion going so the eating takes place earlier in the day so they don't eat late at night. And I put some peppermint in there too to kind of round it out, make it a bit of a filler. But that's not even necessary, the peppermint. Now, when it comes to Ayurveda, we already have an herbal formula that's made to solve Manda Agni. Anybody know the name of that? So if you have Manda Agni, no digestion, if you're in India and you go see 100 Ayurvedic doctors and you tell them, I have no appetite, I'm not that hungry, I could go all day without eating, he's thinking in his mind the herbal formula which was made thousands of years ago to solve this problem. We don't have to think. It's called Trikatu, 3 spice. It's basically ginger, black pepper, and pipali. Pipali is another pepper. So that's these 3 together, taken before the meal, and like a little tea, this will get the fire going. It's like lighting the fire. So before the meal, you can take this Trikatu, or you can take ginger and pepper and clove will do the job. Or just a slice of ginger, just chewing on it, like I chewed on that ginger just a minute ago, and it got my appetite going already here, but unfortunately, I don't have anything to eat, just tea. So maybe I'm going to have some herbs to reduce my appetite down in the middle of this webinar, or I'm going to get hungry. But because now I'm hungry. And here we have what's called kapha post-digest. And kapha post-digest is taking care of that heaviness after meals. It says improves absorption and digestion. Because remember, there's different stages of digestions. There's in Ayurveda, we have names for this. Dipana is the herb that you take before the meal. So Trikatu, or ginger and honey, is the Dipana, before digestion, to get the fire going. And Dipana, Panchana, is what you take after the meal. So if you have digestive problems, I may give, say you have Manda Agni, I may give you Trikatu, or chew on ginger, or my kapha tea before the meal to get the fire going. Then after the meal, if you're feeling heavy, slow, sluggish, bloated, can't digest much, everything is clogging you up, then I'll give you this post-digestive after the meal. And this post-digestive is also traditional Indian formula. All we took was trikatu, half, and we mixed it with, this is your big herb you're going to learn today, called chikrat mul. We just call it chikrat, but in the package, it's called chikrat mul. So we mix it half with chikrat, half with trikatu. You take that afterwards. Now, chikrat mul is considered the best panchana, the best post-digestive herb to take afterwards to help with absorption. So see what we did? We took the trikatu, the ginger, the black pepper, the pipali, and we mixed it with the best herb in Ayurveda for absorption, and we had it after the meal. It's not as hot because chikrat's kind of warm, but it's not spicy and hot. So it's still a kind of a warm, spicy substance, and you have it after a meal. It feels good. I mean, anybody can take it. If I go and eat whole pizza, and I feel like, oh my God, I should have never eaten that whole pizza, then I can take a teaspoon of this stuff after the meal. Oh, that gives me relief, and I don't feel like taking a nap. So anybody could take it. Anybody could have manda agni, like you do your Thanksgiving dinner and you pigged out at the buffet and had too many slices of that cheesecake plus the turkey. Well, you're going to feel heavy and slow, and you're going to need some post-digestive aid. Okay, so that's kapha post-digestive. So next we're going to go to the next digestive state, and that's Vishama Agni. Vishama Agni is very common, probably the most common, and this is usually for the Vata Prakriti, Vata body type, the thin, cold, dry person who's a little more sensitive and needs to have more cooked foods in their diet, and easy to get gas and bloating, and can't eat so many different foods like too much raw vegetables or too much beans that give them gas and bloating. That's Vata Prakriti, but they end up with Vishama Agni, which is this type of digestion which is like a little picky. It's very easy to get gas and bloating. So the best herb for that is cumin. Cumin is so tasty. And ajwan. Ajwan is the Indian version of cumin. It's like very tasty, very nice. In fact, if you have gas and bloating, you don't have anything else, just make some tea with cumin. Just cumin tea. Even you could just chew on a little cumin after a meal, but you make a little tea of cumin after a meal, you feel good. Even you can have, I call it jeera rice, which is cumin rice. And you cook the cumin in the meal, cook the cumin with the food, and you will find that this will help the digestion. People say, oh, I have trouble even with rice, and you put a teaspoon of cumin in it, then you have no trouble. It's the best herb for Vishama Agni. But you still need some heat, so you add in some ginger, and you can also add in some coriander. So this is a nice little combination: cumin, ginger, coriander, and then even fennel. Here's fennel. Fennel's in another bag. So fennel will reduce my appetite a little bit. So I'm going to take some, and it's very sweet. And in Indian shops they give it to you after the meal, so you're not hungry. It's sweet and cooling and brings down appetite. But you can still mix it in for Vata, because Vata needs both something strong and warm like ginger, needs something a little cooling and like fennel, and coriander, which is in the middle, slightly cooling, nice for digestion, and then cumin, a lot of cumin. So I have a tea just for this job. It's called Vata Digestive Tea, and we could call Vata Digestive Tea Vishama Agni solution, and it's basically cumin, licorice, which is also soothing and a mucoid, so it's because Vata tends to be dry. Ginger, fennel, cinnamon, good for circulation, and I use ajwan. Ajwan is like, they call it a type of celery seed, and similar to cumin. It's a very nice flavor. So if you drink this before the meal, even after the meal, will help with gas and bloating. It says effective, improves digestion before, during, and after meals. Very clear. And less gas and bloating. And then in Ayurveda, those are kind of spices, but in Ayurveda they have a herbal formula. You may have to write this down, called Hing Vastika. Hing Vastika. It's about 10 or 12 herbs, all mixed together. And of course they made these formulas a long time ago, because obviously they had people even a long time ago with a lot of gas and bloating. It's nothing new. And so they made this formula called Hingvastika. And hing is an herb, also called asafehita, but it's very potent, related to ginger, and it's good for gas and bloating. In fact, most Indian restaurants are cooking with it, so their customers aren't farting in the restaurant. So it's used quite a bit in Indian restaurants and Indian food, hing. So this formula is called Hingvastika because they put other herbs, cumin, coriander, ginger, fennel, many of them that we're mentioning here, even maybe a little chikrat, and black peppers in there. But the secret ingredient, or the main ingredient, is hing. So they call it Hingvastika. And so before the meal, you can take Hingvastika before the meal to stimulate your digestion, help with gas and bloating. And that's how it's used, before the meal, dipana, to stimulate the appetite, if you're not hungry. If you've got Vishama Agni and you're always hungry, but you're only getting gas and bloating afterwards, then you don't need to take that before the meal. But if you're not hungry and getting gas and bloating, then you need to take it before the meal to get the appetite going, and something after the meal to help with the absorption. So after the absorption, we have Vata post-digestive. And Vata post-digestive is basically, again, using the chikrat for absorption plus Hingvastika. In this case, I put another herbal formula in there called Dashamula. Dashamula means 10 roots, vegetables. So I took Hingvastika, mostly Hingvastika, put in some chikrat for absorption, a little Dashamula, which is very good for Vata, balancing Vata, and also helping with digestion. And it has a nice flavor. Hingvastika also is using salt. Salt's very good for this type of gas and bloating. We have another one made of 5 salts, and this is also used for gas and bloating. So that's works very well. People love it. Even anybody. I mean, say I was snacking all day and not having complete meals, and you get this bloated and gassy feeling. You don't feel it's too good, and it's not good to be speaking public or anything when you're a little gassy. So I'll take the same formula. So you don't have to be Vata Prakriti or have chronic Vishama Agni to take it. You could, anytime you feel a lot gas and bloating, you could take it. But this works very well for people. And once you change your diet and understand how you created this imbalance of digestive imbalance, which is usually snacking or eating the wrong foods or eating at the wrong times, it always has to do with you're eating the wrong foods for you, or you're eating it the wrong way at the wrong time. This is another subject. So you really want to resolve it, the causes. And these herbs are just helping the system for this period of time. So people may take the herb for a couple weeks, a couple months, and now their digestion is improved because they've been following the proper diet to keep their digestion strong. So next we'll talk about Trikshna Agni. Trikshna Agni is when the digestion is too strong, too fiery. You're too hungry. So the best is fennel. Anything sweet. Of course, you could also have sweet fruits, melons. The sweet taste is what you want. And the best herb is really fennel and coriander. So if you only had 2 herbs to make a tea for, and you were like really hungry and acidity and type of person and irritable when you're not eating, then you could even make a tea of just fennel and coriander. This will soothing, cooling, bringing down the Panchakapita, the Agni, the fire, and cooling it down. And so I made a tea here. It's basically called the digestive tea, and this is for people who are too hungry all day. It says gently strengthens the digestion before the meals and reduces appetite between the meals. So some people say, oh, I just drink this tea all day at work and I'm fine. I don't get the acidity, the burning, the hunger, pains, and I don't have to snack. Sometimes people gain weight when they have Trikshna Agni too because they're just so hungry, they're overeating. So by giving them this tea between the meal, which is basically these herbs that I just mentioned, I just put a little spearmint in it to fill it out. And I also put cardamom in it. Cardamom, I don't know if cardamom made it over here, but cardamom is a wonderful herb, and that's in it, yeah. So it's got fennel, coriander, little cumin, because that's help with digestion, cinnamon, which is a little heating, but not too heating for pitta, and cardamom, which is sweet and slightly pungent, which is the best dipana or post-digestive for pitta. Okay? And then when it comes to Ayurvedic herbs, we have pitta post-digest. Now, people who have a tendency to get acidity and heartburn easily, they're taking this. This is a preventive, and it's using the herbal formula. So get ready to write this down, your next big formula, because of course they had people who were hot and hungry and burning thousands of years ago. So they made this nice little formula called Avi Prakitar. Don't ask me how to spell it. Just Google it and it'll probably show up. Or text me later and maybe we can get the correct spelling down. So I took Avi Prakitar, can be taken before the meals. It's very sweet. It's sweet and a little pungent. It's using cardamom. It's very tasty. Even children who aren't so hungry, they're not so hungry, they can eat it because it takes little pinches of this Avi Prakitar and it stimulates the appetite, but it's kind of sweet and tasty at the same time. It doesn't, kind of gets the fire going, but not too strong to create any burning. So even a person who had GERD or acid reflux can still take Avi Prakitar before the meals and it won't aggravate it. And in fact, it helps it. And then after the meals, if they get burning or acidity or strong appetite or they're still hungry, then we give them the Pitta post-digestive. What do? We mix the Avi Prakitar in here, and then I just mix it with some Shatavari. Shatavari is very cooling, mucoloid, and just snuffs out the fire. It's basically like turning off the heat when it comes to your digestion. So you don't want to take too much Shatavari. In fact, I've seen Shatavari, of course, is used for any type of body heat, including hot flashes, and sometimes women going through menopause find this out and they start taking a lot of Shatavari with the meals or during the day, and this puts out their whole appetite and then they have no appetite. So there's many herbs that can put out the appetite, so you have to be careful not to take them too close to the meals. But Shatavari you wouldn't want to take before the meals. It's too heavy and too cooling to be able to then eat. But after the meal, when you're done, a little bit is just perfect to turn the fire off.
We have a question here.
Yes?
Comes from Daisy.
Oh, what about Kapha who gets gastritis? Well, that's a good point. There's two causes. One is too much stomach acids and in the stomach, and that's usually the Pitta. But if you're a Kapha person, you don't have much appetite. Probably it's what's happening is you have the stomach mucosa there. The kapha, because you're kapha and you probably don't have much appetite. But then when you do eat, often overeat, then the acid comes out in abundance. And then you get this acid reflux after meals. Well, the pitta type of person or Trikshna Agni type of person, they'll get the acidity by when they don't eat. Like they're going all day, they're not eating, and they drink a cup of coffee, they get the burning. But for the kapha, they just eat too much and then too much acid comes out, because it gets a little blocked and and the acid starts coming up the esophagus. So it's a different kind of cause to acidity. But that was a good question. And then now you could ask some more questions. I also want to show you 3 spices which are also used, because so if I really want to fix somebody's digestion, I may give them something to take before the meal, one of the teas or one of the traditional Indian formulas. And then if they're having trouble after the meal, I'll give them something after the meal to either help absorption or reduce the fire. But during the meal, we cook with spices. And that's why spices are so important traditionally, is because they help so much with digestion. And of course, once you have digestive problems, it leads to almost all of your other health problems that you can imagine. So for kapha type, we have a spice called hot, pungent kapha spice. And again, you can see the same herbs in there. A little salt, this time cayenne, cinnamon, mustard seeds, black pepper, ginger, cumin, coriander, and of course there's 50% of it is turmeric, haldi. So this can be cooked with the food and keep the digestion strong, avoid heaviness, help with absorption. Say you have a big bowl of rice and you have no spice in it, you can feel heavy. Even you could sprinkle it on your pizza if you really clogging you down. Many people have said they've even put it on oatmeal, that oatmeal felt heavy for them, but they liked it. They put this hot spice on the oatmeal and then they felt lighter. They didn't feel as heavy during the meal because it helped them digest, helped keep the fire strong during the meal, and helped with the absorption of the actual nutrients. So in Ayurveda, it's not what you eat that's important, it's what you're able to digest. And this is a big mistake that many people make, is they just keep thinking, oh, it's healthy, it's healthy, it's healthy. I think every day people come to me and say, well, I don't know why I have all these health problems, because I'm eating good. I don't know why I have digestive problems, because I'm eating good. Well, eating organic food has nothing to do with your digestive problems. I mean, it may help you avoid certain type of toxicity issues and inflammation and even cancer later in life. But for the time being, even you're eating healthy food right from your garden or organic, if it's not, if you're not following the guidelines for proper eating, which of course is never eat when you're not hungry, don't eat between meals, anything heavy or hard to digest, don't eat at night, don't drink when you're thirsty, and don't eat, don't drink when you're hungry, and don't eat when you're thirsty. Is one of these rules, because many times people are just thirsty and then they end up eating. So that's not a good habit, and there's many habits that are important, but that's another subject, and I think I have a lot of videos on it. And then here's the Vata digestive seasoning, Vata digestive. And now Vata is called salty because salt really helps Vatas absorb. Many times I have people with gas and bloating who are Vata and have this Vishama Agni, and I tell them, always increase the gas. Of course, a lot of times people say, but I don't want to have any salt because I'm afraid of high blood pressure. But I say, I'm feeling your pulse. You don't have high blood pressure. They say, well, I don't want to get high blood pressure. So I say this often every day. It's just kind of a little side message here. Is don't worry about conditions you don't have. And I see this a lot. I've seen even people taking herbs and taking treatments for conditions which they don't have. I mean, I don't see them as having it. They may think they have it or may think it's good for them, particularly something like candida cleanse. I see people doing it all the time, and I see no signs of candida. Doesn't sound like a history of candida. So here's the salty Vata spice. Coriander, cumin, turmeric, fennel, ginger, cinnamon, ajwan. I love this ajwan. Ashwafahita or hing, and some salt. And this one's got a lot more salt than the kapha one. So you want the taste, which is salty, which is sweet, and which is pungent to help the digestion. So if you cook your beans with this, more than likely you don't get any gas and bloating, particularly if you soak them overnight and rinse them off good, or have beans without the skin, like a mung bean. And this will help digestion tremendously. And then the Pitta one, sometimes you ask Pitta people, are using any spice? And they go, no, I can't do any spice. And I go, well, I'm going to give you a spice to help you with your digestion. They go, no, I can't do any spice. If I get spice, I get GERD, I get acidity, I get too hungry, I get burning. I can't do any spice. But they don't really understand that not all spice doesn't mean spicy hot. Like fennel is sweet spice. So I usually give them a fennel seed and have them chew it. And I go, do you like that? And they go, yeah, I love fennel. It's my favorite. So we do this Pitta spice, which is very good for anybody with inflammatory conditions, burning sensations, strong appetite, and of course, Triksha Agni. And the first ingredient is not turmeric, but coriander. Coriander, fennel, cumin, mint, turmeric, dill, cardamom, some salt, and again, asafetida. So those are the spices that you'd want to cook with. So first is identify. So now we'll summarize. So first you want to identify the type of digestive problem that you have, either Manda Agni, Vishama, which is no appetite, dull, Vishama Agni, gas and bloating and can't eat things and having a lot of food allergies, and Trikshna Agni, where you're hungry in the first thing in the morning and burning and have tendency for acidity and don't like hot, spicy food. So first, get yourself in the right category. Don't be guessing. And then you need to change the food, of course, accordingly. You can't have spicy food if you have Trikshna Agni, and you need to have hot, spicy food if you're Manda Agni. And you'd have more salt and more spices in general in your food if you're having Vishama Agni or irregular digestion. So that would be the first thing, is identify your category, and then try to start cooking with the right spices. That's always the first step. Start cooking with them. And then if you don't have much appetite in the beginning of the meal, then you start to have something before the meal that's suitable for you. Ginger for no appetite, Manda Agni. Cumin, ginger, fennel for Vishama Agni, or not that hungry. And then for Pitta, you could just have like a little fennel, cardamom, coriander, little cumin tea or spice or avi prakitar before the meal if you're not that hungry. Now, if you're and then after the meal, then you have like a post-digestive. Now, you could basically, sometimes I don't have all my herbs available, and if I were to give you just home remedies, then, for kapha, I would say just drink ginger tea with pepper, right? Sip it right during the meal. Don't have much water. Vata, you can have a little bit more water and sip it during the meal. Kapha is, to get the kapha fire going, it should be more before the meal, like chewing on ginger, just dry, no water. That would be even better than the tea. Vata, they tend to be dry, so they need to actually be drinking a little water during the meal, but not water and nothing cold. But this like ginger, cumin, coriander, fennel tea with a little hing, asafetida in it would be a nice tea right during the meal, because that's their main issue is during the meal. And the pitta, their main issue is after the meal, where they still feel hungry or they feel acidity. And that after the meal, they could just have fennel tea, fennel, coriander tea, or just even chewing on a fennel. So those would be the three type of approaches. And what you want to do is keep adjusting your digestion until it's good, until you have sama agni, balanced agni. Okay? So if you have any questions, why don't you shoot those over? Otherwise, I'll ask questions here for the people waiting. And so I think we'll call that a webinar. Any more questions over there? Okay, here's a question here. What happens if you're getting gas and bloating when you're not eating? Well, then again, you can do the same solution. The cumin, coriander, ginger tea. This is very common. And if the most popular is a cumin, coriander, fennel tea. You can just drink it all day. Sometimes if it's like not a serious problem, a little gas and bloating, then you can just drink this tea in the day to kind of strengthen the digestion. So when the meal time comes. Let me see. Another question is, what do I do when if I'm hungry at night? Then you want to bring down the digestive fire, like I said earlier. Have something sweet, have something cooling. That's why we have a little, even milk can be very cooling. Milk with a little fennel in it, or even chewing on fennel seeds, fennel, anything sweet. Even just a little melon, have a little sweet fruit, but nothing hot or nothing spicy. There's another question. What happens if I have this gas and bloating for a long time? Well, that's a very good question. Well, all three of these conditions, no appetite, Manda Agni is going to create congestion, blockage, fatty liver, gallbladder problems, and overweight. And you're basically clogging up your system because you have no fire to digest the food. So you're absorbing this half-digested food, and then it's slowly clogging the channels of the system and creating weight gain. You don't even have to be a kapha. So not having an appetite this is what happens. It clogs the system and contributes to weight gain, lethargy, slowness, dullness of thinking, and blocked gallbladder, gall liver. So not good. And as far as Vishama Agni, gas and bloating, well, gas and bloating probably have constipation as well, because there's a certain cold and dry aspect that's creating here. So too much gas and bloating and ultimately constipation, if you're not having 2-3 bowel movements a day, then you're constipated. If you're eating 3 times a day and you're just going once a day, you're still constipated. So you should be moving 3 times a day. And this constipation is just basically a slow killer. It's creating autotoxicity in your body, and these waste matter, the fecal matter that should be leaving the body in a timely manner the next morning or quick within a certain amount of time, is staying in there, being reabsorbed back into the system and creating havoc for your liver, your kidneys, and eventually even building up toxicity in your joints and contributing to arthritis and other toxic and even autoimmune conditions from this toxicity after 40 years of absorbing it back into your system. So children won't have it, but as you've been absorbing these toxins from 20, 30, 40 years of constipation, then you will have these adverse effects and joint pain, arthritis, inflammatory conditions, inflammatory liver, or it can be a result. And of course, constipation leads to diverticulitis, and even ultimately colon cancer. So it all starts with this digestion. And for Pitta, this Triksha Agni, if you have this strong burning digestion for too long, then eventually you can get GERD, acid reflux, damage the esophagus, get even cancer in the esophagus. You can get stomach ulcers, and you can also create heat, burning, skin problems, rashes, red eyes, red face. All of these can be results of this over time. So it's very important to resolve your digestive problems as you see them, because they are all going to result in more serious health problems in the future. We just often don't equate our health problems that we have later in life to the fact that we've had these digestive problems our whole life. But this is in Ayurveda is the cause, and I found that this is correct in my practice. So whenever you treat these serious health conditions, which is what most people come to me for, I still have to treat the digestion, because the digestion was the cause of this health problem. So first we treat the digestion, and then they can come back the second appointment and we can treat the serious health problem, because we have to get rid of the cause. So, and again, we want to go, what's the cause behind the cause? Another one of my important points I always try to make. Never just treat yourself, but look at what the cause is, get rid of the cause, and then what was causing the cause. And in this case, most digestive problems are coming from eating the wrong foods and eating without following proper eating habits. And this creates your digestive problems, and then chronic will lead to a variety of health problems. So I hope this helps you. I hope this answered your questions, and you can always email me or contact me if you need more help with your digestion. So I want to thank you for your time. Thank you for coming here.